Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Exalted One and welcome back to Heroes University. In today's video we shine the spotlight on one of my favorite maps in the game, Blackheart's Bay. We'll cover the layout, the objective, the mercs, and all those gritty details to help you know this map like the back of your hand. Let's go ahead and hop right in with the basic structure of the map. Alright, here is the basic layout of the map. Now some basic observations that we have right away. 3-lane map, so heroes that have strong laning presence, very strong. 5 basic mercenary camps, so we have 3 different bruiser camps and 2 siege giant camps. There are 4 objective maps that are located just on either side of the vision that is right in the middle between top and bottom lanes, and also 2 on the bottom lanes just above our siege giants. We'll get those in just a moment. There are 2 chests, 1 turn-in point, 1 vision point, and 1 boss located on Blackheart's Bay. Let's go ahead and break each one of these down and try and point out where they are located. First up, we have our bruisers. That consists of 3 melee mercenaries and 1 mage mercenary. On Blackheart's Bay in particular, there are 3 camps, one located here, here, and here. So we have the top 2 going to the top lane and the very bottom one obviously on the bottom lane. Do very good job of pushing your lane forward, though not doing a high amount of siege damage. Let's go ahead and check out our giants that are going to be pushing on the bottom lane only in this map. But let's take a look at those camps. Now, siege camps, or giants, are going to be located in 2 different places, one on each side of the map for each team. One located here, the other located here. Those are going to push down the bottom lane and give a great opportunity to either make the team respond so that you can take boss near the top. Now let's go ahead and identify where we have the boss and some of the weaknesses to it. Now, the boss on Blackheart's Bay, our good old buddy Graves, he is going to be located at the very tippy top of the map, right there. Now, the odd thing with Graves is that he does a smash attack similar to any other golem or most objectives that are going to be in the map. However, the weird thing is with Blackheart's Bay in particular is that the way that the lanes are shaped, he is only able to actually strike the gate of an enemy wall rather than both the towers as well, or any of the towers. So one thing that you can definitely do as a strategy in this map is if the enemy team takes the boss and you're doing something that may be important, you can let the boss go, because the actual damage that he deals to the gate, it takes him quite some time, and your towers are able to siege him down substantially, losing a lot of the value out of this boss versus other maps. Very unique to this particular map. But let's go ahead and hop on from here and go into these small camps that we have on this that are very unique to Blackheart's Bay, and those are the skeletons. Now, the last camp that's located on Blackheart's Bay are the skeletons. The skeletons are very closely tied to the objective for the map, which is based around coins, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But good to know where these are located. We have 2 on either side of the main vision on the map, that is here, and 2 in the bottom lanes as well, or near those, and that is going to be just north on either side of the map above the giants and just above that fog of war that's located there as well. Very important to understand where these are located and the timing that we'll get to in a moment, because you can control the map and absolutely avoid the enemy team. This map is strongly based on your actual PvE skills and your rotations as a team rather than team fighting. Though those do break out quite frequently in specific spots on the map, it is very important to understand where these mercenaries are and where all mercenaries are on the map at all times so you can keep up lane pressure and gain coins. And coins are going to be important here in just a moment. Let's hit the last 2 things that we have on the map as points of interest, and then we'll hop into that. Now, next up we have our chests. Now, chests do hold a key to the objective for this map that we'll get to in just a moment. But these 2 chests are going to be located here and here. And it's just important to notice where those are, and we'll get over the timing of that and the importance in just a moment. Now, last but not least, we do have Blackheart. He is essentially in the very center of the map, located just south of the mid lane and in between both the chests that we identified just a moment ago. He is located right here, and he is going to be the key to the objective for this particular map. He starts the bombardment. Let's go ahead and get into the objective and what that means for us. The objective on Blackheart's Bay focuses on the collection and turn-in of coins to Blackheart. Coins are dropped by bruiser camps, siege camps, skeleton camps, and the boss. Each of these drop 2 coins per capture along with a regen globe. The largest deposit of coins comes from the chests that spawn on the map. Hitting them with abilities or auto attacks will break the chest and release the coins it holds. Each of these chests contains 5 coins. Now these coins are turned into Blackheart, and once you've fulfilled his required bounty, grants the paying team a bombardment. Now another point with the coins is to protect your booty. Coins you hold drop on the ground upon death. So if you're holding a mass amount of coins, if you're holding them, Scrooge McDucking those fucking coins, if you die, you set up the enemy team to have a free turn-in at your expense. So anytime you're holding on to too many excessively, especially on squishy heroes, turn those in immediately, or when you do have the good opportunity to do so. Whenever you don't lose soak, and whenever your team is free and you see the enemies on the map, it is a good time to turn in if you are by yourself. You usually want to follow up with your team and make sure that you have a full turn-in secured. But the way that you play and your aggressiveness definitely depends on how many coins you're holding on to. Because if you drop those on the ground, that could mean defeat for your team. So always protect your booty. The bombardment starts when one team turns in the requested amount of coins to Blackheart. Once paid, he fires 12 cannonballs onto the enemy structures, doing massive siege damage. Blackheart targets both the external towers, the gate, the internal tower, and the healing well at random. Then, finally, the fort on the Tier 1 structures. This varies slightly for Tier 2 structures, in that he targets both external towers, the gate, and the healing well at random, then randomly between not only the keep, but the internal tower as well. Now, Blackheart not only targets specific structures, but specific lanes. At first, he starts with the middle lane for the Tier 1 structures, moving to the top lane, and finally the bottom lane for the Tier 1s. From there, he moves into the middle lane for the Tier 2 keeps, then up to the top and back down to the bottom lane. If all of those structures are destroyed, he then targets the core specifically. A core directly as the target instantly guarantees you victory on a turn-in. So if the core is at 100%, full shields does not matter. If you secure that turn-in and he turns to fire on that core, that will win you the game. Now, the first bombardment for your team costs 10 coins, and that increases by 2 for each subsequent turn-in. So your second costs 12, third costs 14, you get the idea. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual gameplay so you can have an idea of what that specifically looks like. Alright, we're just finishing off a skeleton camp, picking up those 2 coins and that regen globe. That puts us over the amount that we have personally needed to have that turn-in or that bombardment from Blackheart. So just highlighting the coins in that UI interface there, showing us what we have available. So paying doubloons just is a channel, and so that can be interrupted. So if someone comes up, damages us, or if we get hit by any abilities or spells, anything like that, it does stop that. Blackheart turns his ship towards the lane that he is firing, and again it fires off in those random targets that we went over earlier. Now that little circle that goes around it, it does hit splash damage in that area, so if one of the enemy targets is in that particular very tight range, they do get hit for splash damage, which I believe is 750. Trainer takes right there. I think that he did. He may have just been hit by a minion. But the 3 shots remaining go up to the top lane after that middle is destroyed and taking down that tower and hitting that fort as well. Monstrous siege damage, and then you can walk away. As soon as that is done with that bombardment, he's back already available for another turn-in. Now, next up, we're looking at some of the map timing. The first chests spawn at 50 seconds. So you know exactly where those chests are going to be. You know where they're going to spawn, and you know when they're going to spawn. So you need to make sure that your body is in that area as soon as possible, if not at that 50-second mark, to make sure that you have control of those coins, and therefore the rest of the match. Very easy to gain control early, and you can continue to do so for the rest of the map. Now, the chests do respawn about 2.5 to 3 minutes and 15 seconds after both chests break. So if you hold on to one for quite some time and don't hit that final point, you can wait on that timer a little bit more, but as soon as that breaks and both chests are toast, you have about 2.5 to 3 minutes and 15 seconds until those respawn. Blackheart spawns at 1 minute and 15 seconds and is available for that first turn-in. The skeleton camp spawn at 1 minute and 30 seconds and every 2 minutes and 30 seconds after capture. The giant spawn at 2 minutes and every 3 minutes after they're captured. The bruisers spawn at 2.5 minutes and every 4 minutes after their capture, and the boss finally spawns at 3-minute mark and every 5 minutes after capture if you do take that early, though. Not a fantastic boss to do so. Now, let's go ahead and hop into some of the basic strategy that you might be able to employ while you are on Blackheart's Bay. Alright, now let's go over some of the basic strategies for Blackheart's Bay. Now, there are 2 common strategies for laning. One is to have a strong solo laner on bottom. So someone like a Thrall, Zagara, Chen, anyone like that at all that's going to have pretty good wave clear and is going to be able to sustain themselves if anything happens or if anyone comes out. Zagara has her vision down and can put it down on those choke points on bottom, keep an eye out. Thrall can sustain himself with Frostwolf resilience, and Chen is damn near unkillable, especially at early levels, without a full team rotation. Very effective to gain that experience on bottom and to push your minions towards the enemy towers. The other side of that is going to be a fast wave clear hero for soloing top and mid. Now, the poster child for the strategy is Zul. Because Zul can clear so fast and his minions are able to push towards towers very effectively, you're able to gain that huge siege advantage, and because you're freeing up the other 4 members of your team, they can rotate around the map, they can get picks, they can quickly turn in coins and make sure that you gain that advantage, and at the 50-second mark, they're able to make sure that you and your team capture the chests. And that is very important to gain that early snowball, and Zul provides that. Zul up until about level 10, possibly 13 if your team is keeping them busy enough. You can really soak that experience and gain that advantage for your team on overall experience. And once you gain those level or talent tier advantages, you can really push that into the late game and gain a monstrous advantage. Now, strong heroes for mercenary camps are very important. So someone like an Illidan, a Sonya, a Samuro, anyone that can take a camp effectively and quickly is going to be advantageous for your team. Now, it's important because there are so many camps on this map. There's so many mercenaries and little camps that you need to collect and to have those coins available to you. It's very important to have someone rotating around constantly in between lanes and almost fill in that like jungler kind of role. And Illidan, Sonya, Samuro, anyone that can take a merc camp very quickly is going to fill that position and helps your team immensely. It frees everyone else up to not have to rotate to those positions with you, to not have to help you on camps. They can focus on the lane, pushing that forward, and possibly getting kills or rotating to make sure that they take someone out. Now, Illidan in particular, this is one of his strongest maps. Now, it would seem a little bit weird, like Sonya is a good kind of frontliner, but Illidan in general, because he's able to take camps so quickly and so effectively, and on top of that, this is one of the best maps in the game for Illidan to have fun and go with the hunt. The hunt makes sure that he can jump into a fight at any point as long as he has vision on a hero, and really changes the concept of this map because he's able to be everywhere at once. He is able to be on a mercenary camp and immediately re-engage into a team fight and provide a stun on top of that. So it's a huge, huge team fight changer for Illidan to have the hunt, and though it may not be the choice always, it is a very good option, and one of the maps that are very few right now that it is strong for Illidan to take the hunt. And because of that global presence, and because the area that you're fighting on this map is very small relative to its size as a map, which is quite large, he can be everywhere at once, it feels like, and very solid for him. Now, next up, have lots of coins on your team? Do not fight. There's no reason to do so. If you have an experience advantage, if you have a coin advantage, if you're moving and rotating between all the mercenary camps and gaining that pressure in every lane, there is no reason for you to engage. You can continue to push your advantage, gain that talent tier, and then fight if you need to. But if you have coins on your body, if you have a bunch of coins, if your team is Scrooge McDuck in it, do not engage them. There is no reason to do so, and you will lose your advantage, and you will lose those coins. That, in many scenarios, is the death of a team and the defeat of that particular team, because they do engage when it's not necessary. When you force a fight that you don't need to take in the first place, it puts you at a disadvantage, and the enemy team has so much more to gain that they can almost sense that and try to pull you into those kinds of fights. So disengage from them whenever you can, and don't commit too hard, because there's no need for you to fight. You have the advantage, you have the things that you need, and this is a very PvE oriented map. You can just rotate between mercenaries, make sure you gain those advantages, push them further, keep the coins away from them, and if they're not able to get a turn in, if they're not able to get siege, they will not win. There is no way for them to do so. So don't give it to them. If you have the lead, it's your match to lose. Now, one of the other small things that changes the game pretty drastically. So a turn-in early in the game, when you're sieging down that middle lane, that middle fort, that first tier 1 structure, the turn-in on its own has enough power to destroy the front wall, so that is both towers and the gate in between those. It has the power to destroy the healing well and the internal tower there, that inside tower right next to the fort. And it brings the fort down to about half health on its own. That's not doing any siege damage to that lane or that particular structure at all. Now, the thing that can change that from being, hey, that's good, that's a lot of experience for us, that's really helpful, into now we have an advantage that's substantial, is taking one tower. Taking one tower on that front wall of the middle lane in the early game before your first turn in means that those extra 2 shots that would have gone to that tower and would almost be overkill for it as it normally is, would go towards that fort, and those extra 2 shots destroy that fort. So instead of gaining, most of a fort and a bit of an advantage, you have your lane pushing forward substantially there, and you gain that structure advantage right out that gate. So if you're able to get those first coins, make sure, if you're at all possible, to siege down at least one tower in that middle lane, and that pushes your advantage drastically. And again, I said it before, but if you have the lead, it is your match to lose. If you have the coins, if you have the experience, there is no reason to throw. Don't engage, don't need to do so. All right, now let's go ahead and hop into a couple of the heroes that find themselves very powerful on this map, and why. We already touched on Illidan, but there's quite a few others. Alright, now we're on some good map picks for Blackheart's Bay. Zagara is one of the top consensus that she is pretty solid on this map. Though she's fallen out of the current meta, she's still very good on Blackheart's Bay because of her vision. She's able to go bottom lane as that strong solo laner, as I mentioned, for that base strategy. She's able to put vision on those vents all around bottom lane. So she is damn near ungankable when she is in that kind of position. And she is able to keep eyes on Blackheart, so you constantly have vision of the turn-in. You have vision of the chests when they spawn. You have vision everywhere in that kind of bottom area of that map that's so necessary for success to succeed in those areas. That she is incredible on Blackheart's Bay, or can be incredible at least. Next up is Tracer. Tracer is, it wouldn't seem like she's all that amazing, but because her attack speed is so ridiculously fast, she's able to almost instantly crush those chests. So as soon as those chests spawn, she can auto-attack basically one full clip of her trait into that, and it's dead already. So she's able to pick up those 5 coins immediately, or at least break that for her team for a tankier target to grab those. Illidan, obviously we already mentioned him. He has the hunt, he has the mercenary camps that he can take over. Very good damage in general. He can be everywhere at once with the hunt. Very solid pickup. Zul, again, same kind of thing. He can solo lane both top and middle and make sure that you are gaining those constant pushes in those lanes and able to gain that soak as well. Zeratul, one that you may not think of as well, but because of his Void Prison, able to stop a turn-in, wait for your team to be able to get there as well, be able to move forward. Very powerful. And on top of that, Blackheart's Bay does have very large amounts of fog or line of sight breaks that he can take advantage of. So he can jump in on a target, wormhole back, and he's gone. There's no way to be able to track where he went because he could go one of 18 different directions that you wouldn't be able to know where he went. Very solid for Zeratul on this map. Falstad as well. More of kind of a generic hero for, he's good almost everywhere. But Blackheart's Bay, he has pretty good laning presence. He has good poke damage with his Q. So he's able to stop turn-ins and relatively do so somewhat safe. And Gust in general is very good on this map. Stops the turn-in because it pushes them back. able to engage your team differently, save them from fights that they may not need to take, and push you forward again. And Tyrande, kind of a unique hero to have on this particular map. Her owls do stop those turn-ins, so she's able to throw those out on Blackheart because you always have sight of Blackheart, not necessarily anyone around him, but you do have sight of where Blackheart is. So you can definitely see that at all times and throw out an owl to be able to stop them from turning in. So if your team is right on the cusp of being able to defend that and be able to jump in and stop the enemy team, one owl could save that game for you. So definitely a solid hero overall, and being able to stealth all of your team as they're coming out of vents and moving through things and repositioning is very strong for Blackheart's Bay. So let's go ahead and hop through to the conclusion, do the TLDW, I guess, version of this video, and we'll wrap it up. Now, I will say I'm a little skewed because I absolutely love this map. It's been one of my favorites since I started playing this game quite some time ago, and I have tons of games on here, and most of them are some of my favorite games that I've had in the Nexus. And so I wanted to start out this series particularly with Blackheart's because I love this map and love the mechanics that are built into it. So much of it is control and more of a mind game against your opponent and being able to rotate around and gain control. And the comeback mechanics on Blackheart's in particular, though it can be a snowball map, if you can wipe the enemy team once, steal all their coins, get a turn in, maybe two, and the boss all in one wipe, is insanely good. And moving that forward and having that dance around with your opponents and that mind game and that constant threat of death and losing so much is always a blast to me. Now, the one thing I will say in conclusion is just remember you don't have to fight if you are on talent tiers even, or if you have the advantage in particular. You do not need to fight. You don't need to force engagements. And just as a final reminder, it's all about that booty. It's all about the coins. So if you fuck up, if you lose a bunch of coins, that's a huge problem. And so making sure that you're staying safe as much as possible and staying with your team and rotating and gaining that experience advantage is going to help you improve your win rate on Blackheart's Bay and understand it a bit better. Understanding when those chests come in and when Blackheart is going to be there. And overall, what you can push forward in each lane to get the most out of every cannon shot that you get. But everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Exalted One. If you do like the video, definitely love any feedback that you have there or anything that I can do for the next map that we're going to feature, and we'll decide that here as well. If anything catches your eye or any particular map that you want to watch, definitely drop that in the comments below, and I will definitely take a look towards those particular maps on a priority basis. But again, thank you everyone, and we will see you all next time in the Nexus.